Racist teacher abuse a black teen student. Tears welled up in Maya's eyes as she walked down the school hallway, clutching her books tightly against her chest. The whispers followed her like shadows. Why is she even here? Look at her skin. So dirty. Laughter erupted from a group of students, their words sharp as knives. She kept her head down, trying to make herself invisible. But there was no escaping it, not when even her teacher, the one who was supposed to protect her, was part of the cruelty. Maya was the only black student in the entire school. And she was alone. Move to the back. Mrs. Thompson's cold voice sliced through the air. Maya hesitated. But I can't see the board from there, ma'am. The class burst into laughter. Oh, so now you're questioning my authority? Mrs. Thompson's eyes narrowed. Do you think you're special? Sit where I tell you to, or you can leave my class. Maya swallowed hard and shuffled to the back, her heart pounding. Every day was the same. Mrs. Thompson never missed an opportunity to humiliate her. When Maya raised her hand to answer a question, she was ignored. When she turned in her assignments, they were marked more harshly than everyone else's. And when she walked past her classmates, they whispered behind her back. Small monkey. Go back to where you came from. Each word cut deeper than the last. Some days, Maya went home and locked herself in her room, staring at the ceiling, wondering why she had to be different. Why was her skin a crime? Why did her presence offend them so much? She wanted to tell someone. But who would believe her? The students followed Mrs. Thompson's lead. Other teachers looked the other way. One evening, as Maya sat quietly at the dinner table, her mother, Angela, received a call. Yes, this is Maya's mother, she answered, placing the phone on speaker. Mrs. Thompson's voice dripped with fake concern. Mrs. Parker, I hate to tell you this, but your daughter has been bullying other students. I've spoken to the principal, and we strongly advise you to consider transferring her to another school. Maya's spoon clattered onto her plate. That's a lie, she blurted out. Angela's eyes darkened. What exactly did she do? She's aggressive, she talks back, and she intimidates other students. Mrs. Thompson continued smoothly. Some students have even said they feel unsafe around her. Angela's hands clenched into fists. Unsafe, she repeated. My daughter is the one who comes home crying every day because of the way she's treated at your school. I'm sorry you feel that way, Mrs. Thompson said flatly. But we cannot tolerate a student disrupting the school environment. Angela's jaw tightened. She knew exactly what this was. They wanted Maya gone. Thank you for your concern, she said coolly. But Maya is not leaving. As soon as the call ended, Angela turned to her daughter. Tell me everything. Maya's voice shook as she told her mother about the insults, the bullying, and the isolation. By the time she finished, Angela's hands were trembling with anger. No more, she whispered. I'm going to fix this. The next day, Angela stormed into the school, straight into Mrs. Thompson's classroom. Why are you calling my daughter small monkey? She demanded. Mrs. Thompson blinked, feigning innocence. Excuse me? Maya told me what's been happening, Angela continued, her voice sharp. You and the students have been tormenting her. And now you want to paint her as the bully. Mrs. Thompson scoffed. I never called her that. A student did, and I handled it appropriately. Angela studied her face. She was lying. Fine. If they wouldn't tell the truth, she'd expose it herself. That night, she purchased a small but powerful CCTV wristwatch for Maya. Keep this on at all times, she instructed. No matter what happens, do not take it off. Maya nodded. What if she catches me? Then we'll have proof that she's been lying, Angela said. The next morning, Maya walked into class, the watch secured tightly on her wrist. Mrs. Thompson wasted no time. Oh look, the little monkey is back, she sneered. The students erupted in laughter. Maya clenched her fists. You think your mother can save you? Mrs. Thompson continued, her eyes glinting with cruelty. Go ahead. Tell her. Who do you think they'll believe? Me or some little troublemaker like you? Tears burned Maya's eyes, but she refused to let them fall. Later that day, when Maya tried to tell another teacher, Mrs. Thompson found out. You thought you could report me? She yanked Maya's arm. You need to be taught a lesson. The classroom went silent as the teacher grabbed a ruler and struck Maya across the knuckles. Maya bit her lip, refusing to cry. Mrs. Thompson smirked. Go on. Tell your mother now. But she already had. Angela sat in her car, gripping her phone as she watched the live footage from the watch. Her entire body trembled with rage. Her daughter's cries. The teacher's laughter. The slaps. The insults. That was it. Without a second thought, she stormed into the school. The hallway buzzed with students and teachers, but Angela didn't stop. She shoved open the classroom door. The entire room fell silent. Mrs. Thompson turned, her eyes widening. "Mrs. Parker, you can't just..." Angela ignored her. She walked straight to Maya, took her hand, and pulled her to her feet. "Come on, baby. We're leaving." Mrs. Thompson laughed nervously. "You can't just take her in the middle of class." Angela whipped around, her eyes blazing. "Watch me." She turned on her heel and walked out, leaving the stunned class behind. The lawsuit hit the school like an earthquake. News spread fast. Parents, teachers, the principal, the media. The evidence was undeniable. The recordings from the watch were played in court, and the entire room gasped. Mrs. Thompson's face turned ghostly pale. I was only joking," she stammered. The judge wasn't amused. "Joking? You humiliated, abused, and allowed students to bully a child under your care. This is beyond unacceptable." Maya sat beside her mother, gripping her hand tightly. For the first time in a long time, she felt safe. The final verdict? Mrs. Thompson was fired, charged with child abuse and racial discrimination. But the best part? The school was forced to implement strict anti-racism policies. Maya returned the next semester, walking into school with her head held high. And this time, no one dared to call her small monkey again. Kindly like this video, subscribe to my channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a powerful story like this. Your support helps let's keep the conversation going.